And we're just checking in with the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Mr. Charles Pashley, to find out why are they supporting the government's SOE, the SOE that has been put in place. Because before, I thought that the conversation was always balanced around saving lives and livelihoods. But now we seem to just be looking at the lives, fully understanding that it's going to be affecting livelihoods. Good morning to you, Mr. Pashley.
Good morning, Natalie. Thank you very much. And the Chamber of Commerce always supports what is right in the society's interest. And we've reached a critical juncture in the infection rate in the society where our health systems are under pressure. And we need to support the government and the society to ensure that we flatten the curve. This is the stage at which lives takes a priority over livelihoods at this stage, because ultimately, if you don't have a life, you're not going to have a livelihood. People actually look at these published numbers of deaths, but every one of those is somebody's father, mother, sister, brother, cousin, aunt, and it's horrid to think of what the families in the society are going through as a result of where we are in this pandemic.
No, I definitely agree, because I've always said that, over the last year, in speaking with the different chambers, in speaking with the corporate sector, I always keep reminding them that while I understand that for them, they have a business and they have people who are in those businesses who they want to take care of. And I mean, apart from the profit, is that you have a lot of people who are relying on you, is that the government has never been in a position where they can only look at that. They always have to look at saving the lives as well, because nobody would forgive a government to say, okay, I'm going to ensure this person gets food on the table, but this one dies. So it was always this balancing act. But how are the businesses going to survive? The businesses that fall under the T&T Chamber of Commerce, how are they going to survive in this next 2 weeks? It might be 3 weeks, it might be a month. We really don't know.
Yeah, it is going to be a challenging period for the private sector. It's not going to be an easy road. We've come through a very difficult year where cash flows, profits, the ability to keep people employed has been challenging. The private sector has always been resilient in Trinidad and Tobago. The society has been a resilient society. And our belief is that with every one of the crises that Trinidad and Tobago has faced, whether it was
all right, Mr. Pashley, are you hearing me? All right, Mr. Pashley seemed to have been frozen there a bit. While we sort that out, and hopefully the technology will come back up. The thing is that, as I said, with the private sector, is that it deals with its immediate interest, which I can understand. But as I said, the government always has to deal with the interest of everybody.
Moratoriums, etc.
Oh, sorry, you were frozen there for a bit, Mr. Pashley.
Oh, so sorry about yeah. So we are going to continue to lobby both the institutions to provide some level of relief to the smaller institutions, and also try to work with the government as we did last year, where the government was able to issue some VAT refunds, etc., to help the cash flows in the businesses. We are looking to the government to maybe shore up the VAT system, and also maybe pay some suppliers so that way they can continue operating in business.
I did ask the Prime Minister about that when I had him on the program last Wednesday about the repayment of VAT refunds. And he said that he thought the government, was trying to do what it can. But, I think that there are still limitations. So maybe the bigger conglomerates, or people who their VAT refunds are over $500,000 might still be waiting a bit. But as you talk about the small SMEs, is there anything that the chamber can do to help these businesses to pivot, or to help them to get through this strenuous time?
Well, we have continued to, behind the scenes, give advice in terms of going online and finding innovative ways to to drive their business, and many of them have managed through the pandemic with that sort of advice, managing their cash flows very tightly. And we continue to provide the professional advice necessary for the SMEs within our sector. In my inaugural address, we actually had some persons from McKinsey who did a big presentation in terms of what they saw as the opportunities coming out of the pandemic and how businesses should structure and pivot for the future.
Yes, I am aware that the chamber has been having some webinars, to help people. But, are you able to say, how many businesses have been affected negatively as a result of the pandemic over the last year, or, how many are out of business completely?
We don't have direct statistics, but definitely about 3,000 businesses are affected by the shutdown and the inability to earn income. As I said, it is a difficult situation, and it requires all of us to pull together, private sector, labor, and government, to take us through this difficult period.
Are we having those kind of tripartite meetings between government, private sector, and labor at this time?
At this time, I think the government has their hands full in terms of trying to save lives, and their challenge in terms of ability to focus on anything other than that. So currently we're not. We do continue to offer ourselves for the discussions, and as soon as we flatten the curve, I think we're then going to get into that discussion in terms of saving livelihoods. But the focus right now is save lives. How do we move forward? And the Prime Minister has been very strong about the vaccination program in terms of getting 1.5 million doses from Sinopharm, and that is probably the best we can get out of this difficult situation long term. Vaccination is key, and we need to be very focused. And I think the media has a strong part to play in the vaccination program, and support the efforts of the community to get vaccinated.
Now, I think it's the one thing that the media has been trying, to get right, where we encourage people to get vaccinated, just understanding the dynamics of what we're in and just how we're going to start seeing that light at the end of the tunnel. But outside of the roadmap to recovery, has the chamber put any national strategic plan, any strategic plan, any private sector plan together to say, okay, how it will be able to recover, post COVID-19?
We work with each one of our members and each area. So manufacturing, for instance, is critical in terms of exports, and we're working with our manufacturers to see how we could help them develop other export markets. We're members of the International Chamber of Commerce, and we use whatever connection we do have to assist exporters with the opportunities that exist there. So we helping people in terms of manage their cash flows, trying to get institutions to be lenient so that they can manage through the situation. And then in areas of export manufacturing, we're focused as well. There as well, we do need government's assistance, because we need to get the VAT system working, because 12.5% of an exporter's revenue is their profit. So therefore, if they don't get the VAT refund, then the export is less lucrative, and therefore less of an opportunity for the manufacturing sector.
So is TTCIC in talks with Corporation Sole, the Ministry of Finance, to see what other VAT refunds they can pay out at this time?
We have reached out to the ministries, and we understand that during this period of time, their focus will be on holding the economy together. So we don't have while we're actively pursuing discussions, we understand that the government is not in a position at this point in time to sit down and go through our recovery plan with them. So
do you believe that the government? sorry, Mr. Pashley, do you believe the government should draw down from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, to treat with some of these issues such as VAT refunds?
Well, there are a number of creative ways to deal with VAT refunds. For instance, we have over $14 billion in overnight reserves at the central bank. The same mechanism that we used in the past in terms of low interest bonds to the VAT refund holders is an opportunity. There is the liquidity there, and it's not demanding our foreign exchange to do it. So therefore, it's a very good option where it takes some liquidity out of the overnight deposits and puts them into useful purposes in terms of businesses being then able to generate employment using those funds. So there are a number of ways. I'm not keen on dipping into the Heritage and Stabilization Fund to deal with local issues because I do believe that we have enough cash flows internally without utilizing our scarce foreign exchange resources to deal with our local issues.
Right. Well, I really hope that, even post the state of emergency or even COVID-19, that we can see a better economy, a better TNT economy, and that I think that even with these situations, it's always an opportunity to make changes, even, to that digitalization of the economy. It's a good downtime to be behind the scenes and fix these things so that we can have more online services, especially to deal with the taxes and all of these other services that are so critical to the government and to the population. So I'm hoping that things will improve post-COVID. You think that's possible?
Yes, we are optimistic that there are opportunities to come out of this very positively. Right now, for instance, our standing in terms of our competitiveness index, etc., internationally, ease of doing business is not the greatest. I think linking the digitization, the downtime with coming out of this in a more efficient manner. So more efficient to register a company, more efficient VAT system, more efficient customs and excise will all help in terms of improving our ease of doing business and therefore as an incentive for people to invest in Trinidad and Tobago and grow the economy. So I do agree with you. I think digitizing the downtime poses a lot of opportunity for us once we take use of the time that we have and the opportunity that's before us.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Pashley.
And I actually, that is one area that dipped into the Heritage and Stabilization Fund to digitize the society, that therefore help us become efficient. So we have more export oriented is a use that I think the Heritage and Stabilization Fund would be well used for. And that is an area that the Chamber would be happy to have those discussions with the government and support the efforts to move forward on that front.
All right, Mr. Pashley, thank you so much for sharing with us this morning.
My pleasure being here, and thank you very much. And stay safe. We need to keep the society safe. Let's keep on pushing and have enforcement as a key issue for us. We need to flatten the curve. And thank you all very much for the time this morning as well.
You're most welcome. Charles Pashley, President of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce.